thing, in a forgotten little town tucked between shadowy hills and whispering forests. There stood a crooked old mansion at the very edge of the map. People rarely spoke about it, and when they did, they lowered their voices to hushed whispers, as if the wind itself might carry their words to dangerous ears. The mansion belonged to which Fury, a name that sent a shiver down the backs of anyone brave enough to utter it. Children dared each other to walk 3 steps in her direction and then ran screaming in the opposite way. Adults avoided even glancing at the overgrown path leading to her cracked iron gate. And no one, absolutely no one, ever thought of visiting her. Yet, if anyone had been curious enough to step inside, they would have seen something quite unexpected. For Fury, despite her frightening reputation, wasn't truly evil. She simply had the worst luck imaginable. And perhaps the clumsiest hands on earth. The clumsy witch, Fury, wasn't always feared. Long ago, she had hoped to become the most talented sorceress in her coven. Her spellbooks were filled with doodles of magical ideas. Her cauldron was always bubbling with strange experiments. Her floors were covered with potion stains no broom could ever remove. Everywhere she went, she left a trail of little magical accident sparks that burned holes in curtains, potions that caused ghostly hiccups, enchanted bubbles that refused to pop. But none of this was meant to harm anybody. She simply wanted to do great things. Her closest companion, her dearest friend, was Bobby, a little brown dog with floppy ears and a tail that wagged so much it looked like a tiny helicopter blade. Bobby loved Fury unconditionally, never minding the chaos she caused. And Fury loved him too, more than she loved magic, more than she loved potions, more than anything else in the world. Still, she dreamed of performing a spell that would be remembered for centuries. But witches with clumsy hands and stubborn dreams are a dangerous combination. The potion of mischief one particularly spooky day, fog rolling across the hills. The moon pale like a ghost's lantern. Fury stood beside her cauldron, mixing her newest invention. She stirred with determination, muttering to herself as she tossed in ingredients that fizzed, glowed, and sometimes screamed. "This time, it will work," she declared, though she had said the same sentence about 97 times before. She wanted to make a potion that would steal everyone's laughter and replace it with sadness. Not because she was cruel, but because she believed that if people stopped laughing at the world, perhaps, just maybe, they would stop laughing at her too. But Bobby, ever playful, zoomed around the room like a furry tornado. "Bobby, no. Not near the cauldron," Fury cried as he bumped into a stack of glass jars. Crash! Every jar fell like a domino line. Bobby wagged his tail even faster, proud of his destruction. "Oh, Bobby, please," Fury groaned, pressing her hand to her forehead. "Not now. You'll spill my unhappy potion before I can share it with the townsfolk and finally earn some respect." But her loyal dog didn't understand. He kept running in circles, barking happily. And then, because disasters love clumsy witches, Fury's hand reached for a bottle without her even looking. Instead of grabbing bat claw extract, she grabbed the identical bottle labeled sugar powder sparkles. If she had read the label, she might have noticed the little heart doodle she had drawn on it months ago. But Fury was too focused on her spell. She poured the entire content into her potion. The cauldron bubbled once, twice, then burst into a shower of pink, glittery steam. "That's strange," she murmured, but she shrugged, filled a tiny glass bottle with the shimmering mixture, and lifted it proudly. The spell that went wrong. Fury took a deep breath, raised her arms dramatically, and chanted laughter to tears, smiles to fears, sweet dreams to spooky screams. The potion glowed, the cauldron shook, the room trembled, and that was exactly when Bobby tangled himself around her feet again. "Bobby, no!" Fury shrieked. She stumbled over her old broom, fell forward, and splashed the entire potion, flew through the air and dumped onto poor Bobby. There was a flash of bright pink light, a sound like a giant marshmallow being squished. Then, poof! When the smoke cleared, Bobby was no longer a dog. He was a giant bouncing candy. A sticky, sugary, pink and blue-striped candy, with little candy legs and a candy tail that wiggled as it bounced. Bobby, Fury squeaked, "Is that you?" The candy Bobby blinked, blinking with candy eyes as even possible, and bounced around the room like a rubber ball. "Stop, come back. I will fix this." Fury shouted, chasing him in circles. But Candy Bobby hopped out the window and bounced straight into the pond outside. There was a splash, a swirl of sugary syrup, and in seconds, he melted. Gone. Fury fell to her knees, staring at the rippling, glowing water. "No, Bobby," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I didn't mean to. I didn't think. I'm so sorry." The town's news of the accident traveled faster than the wind. But instead of sympathy, the townspeople laughed. "Did you hear? The Wicked Witch melted her own dog. She finally got what she deserved. At last, she can't curse anyone anymore." They threw a celebration. They decorated the streets with candy-shaped lanterns. They handed out sweets to children. They cheered and danced and filled the night with laughter. And that day became the first ever Halloween. But among the joyful crowd walked a girl with a quiet heart, Millie. She was gentle, thoughtful, and loved animals more than anything. When she heard the adults mocking Fury, something inside her ached. "But she wasn't evil," Millie whispered. "She was just clumsy. And she lost her best friend." So, Millie made a promise to herself. Every Halloween, she would feed the street animals in memory of Bobby. Years pass, and darkness grows. Halloween grew more popular each year. Children dressed as monsters, ghosts, and candy. Adults carved pumpkins and hung spooky decorations. The whole town sparkled with laughter and music. But in her lonely mansion, Fury hid away, carrying her grief like a heavy cloak. She missed Bobby every single day, and she never forgot how the townspeople had mocked her pain. Sad hardened into bitterness. The bitterness twisted into anger. "They laughed while my heart shattered," she muttered to herself. "They celebrated my suffering. And every year they celebrate it again." Her eyes glowed with the same spark she once had as a young witch, but now it flickered with vengeance. "I will give them a Halloween they will never forget." The return of Witch Fury. On the night of the next Halloween, Fury prepared carefully. She brewed the potion again, this time intentionally replacing bat claw extract with the sweet sugar powder sparkles. She knew exactly what it would do. She sewed herself a huge pumpkin costume with vines, leaves, and a carved pumpkin head that completely covered her face. "No one will know it's me," she said with a wicked grin. For the first time in years, she stepped out of her mansion and walked toward town. Every doorstep she reached, she knocked. "Trick or treat," she said in a spooky voice. "Treat, here you go." People cheerfully answered, unaware of the danger. "And here's your treat," Fury hissed. She sprayed the potion and poof, they turned into giant bouncing candies, flying across the street like colorful popcorn. Fury cackled loudly. "At last! Laugh at me now!" She continued knocking door after door, turning more people into sugary sweets. A caramel apple rolled down the hill. A giant cookie bounced off a tree. A gummy bear bigger than a horse hopped into a garden. Halloween had never been so chaotic. Millie discovers the chaos. Meanwhile, Millie was on her usual mission, feeding stray cats and dogs hidden around the alleys. She was carrying a basket full of treats when she noticed something unusual. At first, she giggled. "Oh, what silly costumes!" But then one of the bouncing candies brushed past her, leaving a trail of sticky sugar. "What in the world?" she murmured, touching the goo. Then, she spotted a massive caramel apple bouncing down the road with tiny human feet stuck inside the candy. More candies hopped by. A giant jelly bean squeaked. A cookie moaned, "Help!" Millie gasped. "These are not costumes." She dropped her basket and ran in the direction the candies were coming from. And there at the center of all the chaos, she saw it. A pumpkin-headed figure, spraying potion at people. "P-O-O-F another candy. P-O-O-F another. Poof another." "Hey!" Millie shouted. "Stop right there. What are you doing?" Fury froze. "That little girl, she's coming this way." The witch panicked, and she dashed off. "Come back here," Millie yelled. The chase began. Fury ran down Main Street, knocking over decorations. A stall collapsed, sending dozens of pumpkins rolling everywhere. Millie leapt over them, determined not to lose the mysterious pumpkin figure. Fury sprinted past a costume booth, tripped on a fake skeleton arm, caught herself, and kept running. Millie dodged a bouncing jelly bean and kept chasing. They dashed past glowing lanterns, candy buckets, and children wearing monster masks. Finally, Fury slipped into a narrow alley, thinking she could escape, but it was a dead end. Millie cornered her. The witch backed against the wall, trembling beneath her oversized pumpkin head. "Who are you?" Millie demanded. "Why are you hurting people on Halloween? Why are you doing this?" Millie reached up and pulled off the pumpkin head. The moment it came off, her eyes widened. "It's you." Which Fury looked away, ashamed and furious at the same time. "Why?" Millie pleaded. "Why would you do this again after all these years? They deserved it." Fury snapped. "While I cried over losing Bobby, they turned my pain into their celebration. They made my heartbreak into a holiday. How could I not be angry?" Millie swallowed hard. For the first time, she saw the true emptiness in Fury's eyes, the loneliness, the heartbreak, the years of silence. She understood. "The moment of truth, Fury," Millie said softly. "I know what it feels like to lose someone you love." The witch froze. "But hurting others won't make your heart heal. It will only make it heavier." Fury's lip trembled. "They laughed at me. They made fun of my pain." "Not everyone," Millie whispered. "I never mocked you. Every Halloween, I feed animals in memory of Bobby." Fury blinked, startled. "You remembered my dog?" "Of course," Millie said gently. "Because I know you weren't wicked, just clumsy, and lonely, and heartbroken." The witch's anger cracked, replaced with a flicker of sorrow. "Kindness," Millie continued, "is the strongest potion of all." Fury's shoulders sagged. For a moment, she seemed lost, like a child who had wandered too far and suddenly realized she missed home. I don't know how to be kind anymore," Fury whispered. "That's okay," Millie smiled. "I can help you." And then Millie looked down. A new friend, a tiny stray puppy, sat nearby, wagging its tail. Its fur was scruffy, its eyes full of innocent joy. Millie picked him up and held him toward Fury. "Look," Millie said gently. "Maybe he wants to be your friend." The puppy yawned, then licked Fury's nose. The witch gasped. "He looks just like Bobby," she whispered. The puppy wiggled closer in her arms. "If you promise to stop hurting people," Millie said softly, "this little one can stay with you forever. Maybe he can help heal your broken heart." Fury hugged the puppy close. A tear rolled down her cheek, her first in years. "I promise," she whispered. "I'll never do anything bad again." So counter potion. With Millie's help, Fury hurried to her mansion. Together they mixed a shimmering counter potion, bubbly, colorful, and smelling faintly of vanilla. They rushed back to town and sprinkled it over the bouncing candies one by one. POOF, people turned back into humans. POOF, the caramel apple became a man again. POOF, the gummy bear shrank into a grandmother clutching her cane. Everyone looked confused, dazed, and sticky. Fury bowed her head. I'm sorry," she said softly. The townsfolk didn't know what to say. But when they saw the small dog curled happily in her arms, when they saw Millie standing protectively beside her, when they saw the regret in her eyes, their anger melted, just like Bobby had once melted into the pond. A new beginning. From that day on, Witch Fury changed. She named her new puppy Candy after the strange, sugary accidents that somehow always shaped her life. Fury became the town's new animal guardian. She spent her days rescuing stray cats, healing injured birds, and building tiny homes for lost animals in her garden. Every Halloween, she dressed up in joyful costumes and helped Millie feed the street animals. Instead of fear, the town now welcomed her. Children visited her house to see Candy do tricks. Adults brought her ingredients for harmless potions. And Fury, for the first time ever, felt like she belonged. The lesson everyone learned, and so, the forgotten little town learned something important. Even the loneliest hearts can glow again when touched by love, kindness, and a friend who cares. Which Fury once feared, once mocked, finally found the magic she had always searched for. Not in potions, not in spells, but in friendship. And Candy, her new companion, never left her side again. Because every heart, no matter how lost, deserves a second chance.